Hey, listen, continue boxing, continue training, continue study. It's great.
But my opinion is that with Dubois, he's, when the fight got hard, it just got too hard for him.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have any more of it.
Yeah.
But he's shown a lot of, I said it before, grit.
Yeah.
He's shown a lot of heart and a lot of the recent fights he's had, and he's shown a good chin.
I'm not calling him a quitter. You know what? Get off his back. None of you could do what he did. None of you could take that guy 9 rounds. A lot of people would have been bamboozled by 6. Leave him alone, man. He's a young man. He's in my division as well. I suppose he's a potential opponent down the line somewhere.
The soap opera involving Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois just escalated all over again. Usyk recently spoke out and didn't mince words, straight up declaring that Dubois will once again quit as he did the last time. No beating around the bush, no PR speak. He outright challenged the heart of Dubois, doubling down on the suggestion that Dubois just lacks the tough stuff to make it through an actual war. And coming from a unified heavyweight champion, those were not only dismissive words, they were a pre-fight psychological jab.
Hey, listen, continue boxing, continue training, continue study. It's great.
But those words didn't fall on deaf ears. They drew attention squarely back to one of the most contentious strands of Dubois' entire career, that he takes an early bath when the chips are down. From his eye injury TKO defeat to Joe Joyce to criticism of his performance against Joseph Parker, it's a story he could not escape. Dubois retorted, standing up for himself and telling those who doubt him that they do not know what he's been through. Nevertheless, the noise continued to grow.
I'm pissed off as well, but happens, and it's one of them things.
Suspicious, talking about the Usyk fight already. Do you have a response to Team Parker, Daniel?
Yeah, that was none of my plans. My plan was to go out there and stop his fight at Parker, go through him. So, there was no plan behind this. This just happened, and if he wants proof and everything, go and ask the border control doctor that came and saw me. But everyone talking, I just want to silence all of that, but I'm just ready to go now. I want to fight everyone.
What's interesting is that Joseph Parker, the same person who defeated Dubois in a tough fight, stepped forward in his defense. Parker complimented the grit, discipline, and capacity to absorb punishment under duress of Dubois. He asserted that although the bout took a turn in his direction, he did not notice even a hint of Dubois being psychologically vulnerable or cowardly. Coming from a competitor who had shared the ring with him for 12 rounds, Parker's commendation acted as an ideal counterattack on the darts of criticism hurled at Dubois.
But my opinion is that with Dubois, he's, when the fight got hard, it just got too hard for him.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have any more of it.
Yeah.
But he's shown a lot of, I said it before, grit.
Yeah.
He's shown a lot of heart and a lot of the recent fights he's had, and he's shown a good chin.
Fraser Clark also wasn't afraid to put his support behind Dubois. Speaking in plain conviction, Clark highlighted how fighters at this level cope with injury, pain, and adversity most ordinary people will never comprehend. He said calling someone a quitter in the space of a split decision is to gloss over the months of deprivation that go into every camp. Clark made it very clear, Dubois is not a coward. He's a pro with something to prove, and the ring is where the answers will be found.
I'm not calling him a quitter. You know what? Get off his back. None of you could do what he did. None of you could take that guy 9 rounds. A lot of people would have been bamboozled by 6. Leave him alone, man. He's a young man. He's in my division as well. I suppose he's a potential opponent down the line somewhere.
I was going to come on to that.
Dubois didn't duck the criticism, he met it head on. He then went and confessed that the only way this story can end is by turning the script on its head. And how does he intend to do that? By making Usyk quit instead. He added that's the only answer that will silence the world. Not interviews, not tweets. Simply handing out the same type of hurt Usyk said he couldn't endure. For Dubois, this isn't a rematch, it's a war of reputation.
Talking about you quitting, and that's the main thing people keep saying, is he going to still be there after 6 rounds? What's he going to do when he gets harder? But you as a man, how does that make you feel when people are saying that them sort of things about it?
I've got to clear the air. I've got to clear the air, and make him quit, make him a quitter, and then turn it around on all of them.
But Dubois didn't go any further. He took it a step further and asserted that Usyk's allegations are a smokescreen, a convenient cover-up to divert attention away from the fact that he was robbed in their inaugural bout. The body shot he threw, as per Dubois, was clean and above board, yet he was deprived of a rightful win. So this is not merely an exercise to prove toughness for him. It's about reclaiming what he believes was taken from him unfairly the first time around.
You know, he didn't grab his balls after I hit him. He just went straight down, and he was crippled by the body shot on the floor. And the referee should have counted, but in my mind, the referee was already counting that. I was waiting for it, 1, 2, 3, but he didn't, and I feel like I lost momentum. I became disheartened a little bit, because if what you're doing to practicing for like 12 weeks for that shot, we were practicing the body shots and we pulled it off.
Frank Warren, Dubois' promoter, wasn't quiet either. He quickly came to his fighter's defense, reiterating that the shot Dubois landed on Usyk was perfectly legal. Warren didn't mince words. He accused the officials of robbing his fighter and called the whole thing a disgrace. For Warren, this controversy isn't new. He's been outspoken about it since the initial fight, and now with the rematch on the boil, he's doubled down on the assertion that his guy was unfairly treated.
He was always in the fight. He'd put Usyk down, and I just look at someone like maybe Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, and if they'd got dropped by Usyk at that moment and there was still 2.5 rounds to go, they would have given it their best and still gone on. He wasn't injured, he wasn't getting peppered. It looked like from there he could have still gone on.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from, I hear what you're saying, but he got up, the time he rose from that canvas, the referee called it off.
Do you think you need some psychological work on him?
I think all sportsmen needs things like that sometimes.
And Warren wasn't merely talking, he had proof. In another appearance, he had video footage and photos to present, attempting to deconstruct the precise moment that the punch connected. He went so far as to compare the placement of Dubois' shot to comparable legal shots in previous title fights. For Warren, the message was clear. This was not a close call. It was a clean, debilitating blow, and the call by the referee altered the result of a championship caliber bout.
He got hurt. There you go. You see that?
It's just on the belt line, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not about the belt. It's about the navel, and the navel's down there. His navel is there, not on the belt line. The rules say the navel, and he's caught him there. These are not my photos. These are from the Sun library, and this is the sequence of punches. It's in there as well. It's the same angle.
Is it?
Yeah. But you look, see where it's landed. He's a hurtful puncher. He's one of those guys. If he hits you on the arms, you feel that power, and it's sort of in your mind. You think, oh, geez, I don't want that on my chin.
Global home of boxing.
Queensbury, exclusively on DAZN.
Not everyone, though, viewed Warren's behavior as chivalrous. Tony Bellew shot back forcefully, labeling the promoter's apologia a complete mockery. Bellew stated Warren isn't fighting to defend Dubois, he's fighting to defend his investment. Frank's agenda, in his opinion, is financial, not moral. Bellew stressed that if Dubois wishes to shut critics up, it has to be in the ring, not promotional debates. And that the more Warren talks, the weaker the whole argument sounds.
Knowing Frank, well, he's got a narrative, Frank, and he's got an agenda, hasn't he? And the agenda is to push that his man was absolutely robbed. But let's be totally honest. Let's just take away the low blow for a minute. What actually happened in the fight?
Yeah. It was
The
one
lad
night.
was on his knees watching the referee count to 10. He didn't want to get up. He didn't want to fight no more. He'd had the fight beaten out of him. So that's the harsh truth of it. And everyone can go on about what happened in the 5th round, but why didn't he just jump all over him and do it again?
Paulie Malignaggi, meanwhile, took a more subtle approach. He wasn't afraid to be honest. Yes, Dubois did quit in that instant, but he was also quick to emphasize that it wasn't a matter of mental vulnerability. It was due to a nasty clean body shot that doubled him up, and that's just the way the game goes. Malignaggi's breakdown leaned toward fairness, acknowledging the stoppage while reminding everyone that body shots end careers, and this one was delivered with full power.
Was it a low blow?
I
thought it was a legal blow, but the gripe I have is the ring, not the legal blow, because I tell you what, I don't think that shot even lands if the ring is not wet. And people are going to be looking at me like, oh, what is he, crazy? If you're disagreeing with me, you just have to go try boxing in a wet ring to understand. See, your push-off foot is always sliding, and your push-off foot is everything. It's for defensive purposes and for offensive purposes. If you notice the shot when Usyk takes it, he's going to his right. He most likely was pushing off with his left foot, but it probably slid out, and he didn't get the push-off that he needed, and he was there for the body shot. You would also notice it when Dubois goes down later in the fight, his back foot slides out, and he gets called a knockdown. He didn't complain because he was on his way out anyway. So I do think it was a legal shot, and I think Dubois and his team have a gripe for it, and I think they would have even more of a gripe for it. But then, unfortunately, Dubois quit like a dog later, and so he eliminated all his gripe, because now people are going to say, well, who cares, you know? Because if you get this guy in a ring that's dry, and Usyk is himself, because the ring is dry, and he's able to box the way he wants to, he's probably going to pummel him anyway. So who wants to see the rematch?
Teddy Atlas also joined the chorus, but his aim was the referee. In typical Atlas fashion, he didn't hold back. He claimed that the same official who stopped the Dubois-Usyk fight has a history of controversial calls and helping favored fighters. Teddy's perspective was keen. He declared Dubois didn't only lose to Usyk, he lost to the system. And for a veteran such as Atlas to attack refereeing in those straightforward terms indicates to what extent the wound of that night remains open.
I had seen this referee saving certain fighters like years ago. He saved Oleksandr Usyk, I thought, versus Huck, who was also the former cruiserweight champ, just like, you know, obviously Usyk is. Huck had Povetkin hurt. I asked Rob to cut out some video my son sent me, so he'll put it up there. I think it was in the late rounds in that fight. Huck had Povetkin hurt. Actually, throughout the fight he did, but again, noticeably in the late rounds. And he had him in trouble. And the referee, you know, Paban, you know, who acts like a baboon sometimes, Mr. Bad, he continued to break them up and give time for Povetkin to recover, and obviously disrupting Huck's momentum.
Dubois, remaining true to form, indicated he hasn't forgotten anything. He explicitly declared that Usyk is aware that the body shot was legitimate. He said it with serene confidence, not with ire, like a man who's already convinced himself of the truth and is merely waiting for the world to come around. It was one of Dubois' most collected moments, not attacking, not explosive, just sure. That body shot remains the pulse of this rivalry, and Dubois wants it reaffirmed on fight night.
He knows it was a legal shot.
You think he knows that?
I think so. But I want to clear up the controversy, and you know, he's top guy, top fighter. So I'm not gonna just go in there looking for the body shot and trying to repeat the same thing. I'm just gonna be myself and, you know, control the matter from the start.
For you, there was the Joseph Parker fight in Riyadh. I just want to know, having done the media, done the fight week, and telling people I just want to fight, not being able to fight in Riyadh, was that just a bit of a mental drain on?
Mad, it was crazy. It was depressing at the time, for me at the time, and just, you know, gutted. Just everything we trained for and everything we prepared to do just took out of my hands. So this time that was another experience I've had to grow and learn from and rebuild from. So yeah, you're gonna see me with all the frustration and everything we transferred to this fight now. So yeah.
And then there was the twist. Usyk himself acknowledged that the shot could have been worse than he initially admitted. It was a departure from normal for the champion, a moment of candor that seemed to ease some tension around the situation. Whatever it was, that admission changed the tone. Suddenly the discussion wasn't regarding whether the punch landed square, but whether Dubois would be able to repeat it and finish the job this time.
Can I ask you about the first time that you boxed Daniel Dubois? So he has said Oleksandr Usyk knows that was not a low blow.
What do you mean?
He says that it was a good body shot.
Yeah, I know. Listen, it was in the past.
After that moment of closure, Dubois demonstrated an unexpected amount of maturity. He didn't lapse into the insults, didn't resurrect old sores. Instead, he said he's ready for a good fight. That's it. No threats, no prophecies, just a determined brawler ready to run it back. The Dubois speaking now is a different man who confronted Usyk last time. He's improved, more level-headed, and obviously eager to respond with action rather than explanation, and that could be the most perilous rendition yet.
When you saw him go over on the floor, it didn't seem to be, one, he wasn't holding down below, he was holding his stomach more, but you saw his legs trembling.
Yeah.
How do you capitalise on that again if that situation happens again?
Listen, I know what I've got to do differently, and if that happened again, if he gets back up, I'll be ready for him. Whether it's fighting him, making it a brawl, whatever we have to do, we'll be ready for it. Never, just lessons learned in that moment.
With all the tensions boiling between fighters, boxing icon Carl Froch also eventually joined the discussion, throwing his weight behind Dubois. Froch, who does not normally endorse fighters without substance, termed Dubois a reconstructed machine, alluding to the visible changes since his initial failures.
He's a big heavy lad, he can punch, and he's improved since their first fight. He's confident. Look what he did to AJ. Usyk couldn't finish AJ off like Dubois did, because Dubois is a big, heavy, punching heavyweight. It's going to be a tough fight. He's a massive favourite for me, Usyk, but he's the older man by over 10 years. Dubois is on the crest of a wave, flying with confidence.
Lennox Lewis gave more heft to the Dubois bandwagon, referencing the transformation witnessed in the young boxer since his victory over Anthony Joshua. Lewis noted the maturity of Dubois' movement, decision-making, and fight IQ.
He's been sitting back in the background saying, I've been boxing all these fights and, I want respect. And by beating Anthony Joshua, he'll get that respect because he's a quiet guy, doesn't say too much, but you can tell there's a lot of things on his mind, and being a heavyweight champion is what was always on his mind. And even the fact that, he got presented the belt, he wants to prove himself in the ring and go in there and say, yeah, I deserve to keep this belt.
Esteemed commentator Adam Smith said, while Dubois has improved by leaps and bounds, Usyk is just too clever and adaptable. He analyzed Usyk's flexibility by saying it's not necessarily about power or velocity, it's how he can outthink and outmaneuver that makes him great. For Smith, regardless of how much Dubois improves, he still has a generational talent in Usyk, who excels in mayhem and order equally.
I agree with Spencer that Daniel Dubois is a much, much better mentally and physically athlete, fighter, person, maturity than he was a couple of years ago. He's on a fantastic run. Those wins, that gutting out win over Jarrell Miller to stop him. Hrgovic again taking the licks in the first 3 rounds. And Joshua, of course, absolutely phenomenal.
But this is a whole different animal.
This is a whole different animal. And look, he has to, as Duke said, he has to just keep the pace at him. He's got to work the body. He's got to take risks. Yes, he's got power. He's a phenomenal fighter, Daniel Dubois. However, Usyk's so clever. He's so good in rematches. He's so good on his feet. He's going to have to hope that he's on the decline, and I haven't seen it.
Jake Paul also chimed in, going out on a limb by calling for Usyk to win by TKO. Although most view Jake as a troublemaker in the world of boxing, his statement reflected one that many pundits have said Usyk's ring IQ and experience might prove too much for Dubois. His forecast brought even more intrigue to the bout and indicated that even influencers are invested in the heavyweight saga.
Jake, what's your prediction for tonight's fight?
Oh man, I like both fighters, but I think Usyk is going to TKO him down the stretch around the 9th round.
Okay.
Boom.
If you followed this rivalry from day one, now's the time to stay locked in. The narratives are peaking, the controversy's boiling, and this rematch isn't just about belts. It's about truth, redemption, and finality. Subscribe now for detailed breakdowns, ringside fallout, and everything leading into the bell. The next time these two meet, there'll be no room left for excuses.